good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. Excuse me. And we are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we get going, a few of the usual disclaimers. First off, as always, folks, you are going to see the link to this report right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, the templates, you know the drill, sign your name, click on your senator, goes without saying, and the ever-present, self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Now, folks, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you have young children present, please use your headphones, alright? Also, it is 4:53 in the afternoon. Yes, it is my day off. Yes, I've done a whole lot of nothing. It is everything I thought doing nothing could be. But I am still somehow exhausted, folks, so if I stumble over my words, my apologies in advance, alright? So, we're going to where we left off, towards the bottom of what we were reading before. I'm going to read the whole thing again, even though I covered the most of it in the previous video, just so for context sake, alright? Now remember, we stopped at I. Information regarding the use of behavior management interventions, including but not limited to restraint, chemical, mechanical, physical, and timeout procedures, copies of all incident reports. Partially implemented, response required, yes. Department of Education findings. The school does not have signed contracts with school districts that are completed annually as required by CMR 28.06. Oh, that's the only problem you find with it. I see. So you don't care that these kids can be slammed on a 4-point board for something as minor as refusing to move your coat and then getting shocked over 31 times. Oh, no, that's just fine and dandy if the student has to go to the hospital and end up being catatonic. No, what the problem is, according to you, is that they didn't complete their paperwork with the school district. What the fuck is wrong with you people? How in the name of God do any of you find anything okay about this? It doesn't compute, folks. It doesn't compute. I do not understand. But moving on, sorry. 603 CMR 18.03 Food and Nutrition. You think maybe they're finally going to talk about those food and safety hazardous concerns? My bets are no. But let's see. No student shall be denied nor unreasonably delayed a meal for any reason other than medical prescriptions. Meals shall not be withheld as a form of punishment under any circumstances. Rating implemented, response required. No. Oh, is that a fact? Why is it New York has a different story? Because not only did they tell us that they do not refrigerate properly the foods, they explained to us how a child had to perform with proper behaviors to earn every single bite of food. And if they didn't because of behaviors, then they got to be put on this diet of just basically gruel sprinkled with liver powder. Oh, but let me guess, that's just perfectly fine, right? Do you all know anything about children with autism at all? You know anything about us autistics? Because here's the fact of the matter, folks, with the sensory issues we have, eating something like that is literally eating pain. We will fucking starve before we eat that garbage, and JRC knows it. And they will go then and report, well, we offered them food, but they're refusing to eat, and they'll put it down as another goddamn behavior. We've seen it in Jennifer Masemba's report. We've seen it in the other reports. We've seen it in the fucking court cases and what's going on at the DPPC. Multiple cases of students talking about being starved, but because they were on the food program, apparently that is okay. They're not being deprived. They could eat. Seriously? Seriously. People who are not autistic have no comprehension nor understanding how bad sensory issues, especially around food, can be for us. I'm going to give you an example with myself here. When I was little, and to this day, I cannot handle chocolate pudding at all. The texture, the taste, the smell. To eat it is agony, and I will throw it up and get really sick every single time. I'm basically swallowing bile. I am swallowing horrible, horrific stomach pain. The smell alone can nauseate, disorient, and completely take control of all my brain and my motor functions. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. And that's just with chocolate pudding, folks. They are taking a protein mash, sprinkling it with liver powder, and then passing it off as, hey, we're meeting these kids' nutritional requirements. But here's the fact of the matter. Take what I just told you and multiply it by 11. That would be literally eating pain, folks. Literally eating pain. Literally eating sensory hell. And more often than not, folks, we will fucking starve ourselves before putting ourselves through that. But then the school gets away with it because then they can say, well, we offered them their calories, but they refused. You see? You see what these assholes do, and they get away with it. They get away with it. So let's see what these assholes have to say. Department of Education findings. The department understands that JRC must obtain court approval for each student for whom it utilizes its contingent food program or its specialized food program. Let's see what smoke they're going to blow up our ass. Due to probate court's authorization of the JRC's contingent and specialized food programs, the above cited regulation is not applicable to such programs. With respect to JRC's use of food in its regular, non-court-ordered programs, JRC's rewards procedures, and its standard declaration procedures, the department finds that those practices are consistent with 603 CMR 1803 based on JRC's responses to the department's questions in this regard. Oh, okay. So here's what the state of Massachusetts is telling those students. They're saying, oh, but it is court-ordered and allowed for the JRC to starve you to death. So it's okay. They're not doing anything wrong. You deserve to starve. How dare you be autistic and live? That's what it says, folks. That's what it says. The fact that there is any fucking state in the goddamn union that thinks it's fucking-K to use goddamn food as a way to try and control autistics is disgusting on every level. On every single level. No child should ever be deprived of food because they didn't perform like a goddamn circus monkey to these people's satisfaction. It is sick. And you can sit there and tell me it's court ordered all day fucking long, but it doesn't make it right, and it doesn't mean that it is not torture. You people fucking disgust me. The fact that you can sit there and blatantly say that it's okay because it's in their program and it's court ordered is disgusting. It's disgusting on every level. We all know, especially in the teenage and younger years coming into school, that nutrition is absolutely fucking fundamental for a child to be able to have the ability to be able to concentrate when they are in school. In fact, when a child does not have proper nutrition, they are more likely to have, to use their own words, behaviors and more and increasing difficulty in being able to concentrate. They got these kids in a catch-22. They have to earn every bite of food. And if they don't have those bites of food, as we all know, they're going to act up more, in which they're going to starve them more. Where in the name of God to anyone does this make sense? It is monstrous. And the fact that the state of Massachusetts allows this and says it's okay, and that their courts actually allow and order it, is disgusting on a level that is beyond my comprehension. Beyond. This is beyond cruel. This is beyond inhumane. They are fucking kids. They are fucking kids. And they deserve the right to be able to fucking eat. Behaviors or not. This is disgusting. But let's move on. Okay, that's the last page. So let's talk about this, shall we? This state, throughout the entirety of the report, has done nothing but create excuses, bald-faced lied, and have basically run around trying to do everything except address the New York Department of Education report that came out this same year. They did not talk about the food and safety concerns brought up in that report. They did not talk about the excessive use of shocks for things that were not in the IEP of the students. They did not discuss any of the maltreatment or the DPPC reports that New York brought up consistently throughout their reports. They did not bring up anything about any court cases or testimonies at the time that were going around. And they were going around, folks. This report belongs in the trash bin. It tells us absolutely nothing except JRC knows how to do their paperwork and that the state of Massachusetts doesn't give a fuck about the kids that they put in this horrific school. Because if they did, they would do follow-up reports. They would make sure these kids were getting treated right. And for God's sake, they would address the fact of the shocks and what they do to the child. And on that, folks, all I can say, and I never fucking thought I'd say this a day in my life, I thank God that I grew up here in Missouri, in the fucking Bible Belt that I have hated my whole life. I thank God I grew up here and was able to help reform and create the system for people with disabilities that we have now today, than be stuck in this hellhole with a state that refuses to protect its most vulnerable. This is a disgrace, Massachusetts. You are not progressive. You are not inclusive. You are not diverse. You're a fucking joke. And that joke has cost 6 people their lives, has caused trauma in countless others, many others who have not been able to tell their stories. And on that note, folks, we're going to close out this evening. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. And the few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this evening. As always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye bye.